Chapter 2, Lesson 4 and 5 on multiplying and dividing integers. Okay, the first thing we're going to look at is our rules for when we multiply and divide integers. And our first rule is we just multiply or divide, whatever one we're doing, normally. The only thing that we have to worry about is their sign, but we don't do anything different with the multiplication or division. And then how we determine the sign is if the two numbers have the same sign, my answer is positive. So for example, if it's 5 times 2, it's 10, and if it's negative 5 times negative 2, it's also 10. If they're both positive or both negative. Or if the signs are different, then our answer is going to be negative. For example, if it's 5 times negative 2, my answer is negative 10. And if it's negative 5 times positive 2, my answer is also negative 10. Alright, so some examples. So negative 4 times 7. 4 times 7 is 28. I have one negative, one positive. My answer is negative. Negative 3 times negative 8. 3 times 8 is 24. They're both negative, so my answer stays positive. Okay, negative 25 divided by 5. 25 divided by 5 is 5. One negative, one positive. My answer is negative. And negative 30 divided by negative 3. 30 divided by 3 is 10. They're both negative, so my answer stays positive. Okay, now some rules for multiplying if we have many integers at the same time. So I want to multiply a whole set of integers. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to count the negatives. How many negative signs do I see? Okay? If I see an even number of negatives, then my answer is going to be positive because they all pair together to form positive. So I end up with a positive answer. If that number is odd, then my answer is negative. Negative. Alright, because they all pair together except for that one that keeps the whole answer negative. So let's look at some examples. Okay, so if I have negative 2 times 4 times negative 3 times 5 times 1, just multiply all your numbers. So 2 times 4 is 8, 8 times 3 is 24, and 24 times 5, if I need to do that out to the side, 0, 2, 12 times 1, so 120. And then I'm going to count and I'm going to say, okay, there's 1, 2, 3 numbers that are negative out of my group. So that's an odd. So these two pair together and that one odd makes my whole answer negative. Okay, number 2. I'm going to say, okay, 3 times 1 is 3, times 4 is 12, times 2 is 24, times 2 is 48. And then I'm going to count my negatives. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 negatives. It's an even number, so it keeps my answer positive. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is simplifying algebraic expressions. And when I want to simplify an algebraic expression, is what I am trying to do is I'm trying to evaluate all possible operations. And remember, algebraic expressions are going to have a variable and some sort of operation. So let's look at a few examples. Alright, if I have negative 6a times 8b, that really means negative 6 times a times 8 times b. And we know from our properties it doesn't matter the order that I multiply them in. So I want to simplify and I want to multiply, do any operations I can. Well, as what I notice is that I can go ahead and multiply the negative 6 and the 8. So I'm going to multiply negative 6 times 8 and get negative 48. And then I can't do anything with the a and the b, so I'm just going to leave them there. We're going to multiply them if I were to know what their value was. So negative 5x times negative 9y, remember, is like negative 5 times x times negative 9 times y. So I can multiply my two numbers together and get 45 xy.